everyone. Welcome to Beryl Elites. I'm Lisa from Beryl Consulting Group. It's a pleasure today to have with us Dr. Kristen Hege, the former Senior Vice President of Early Clinical Development of Cell Therapies at Bristol-Myers Squibb. She's also the chairs and advisors for multiple startup CGT companies. So hi, Dr. Hege. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, so we got got a couple questions for you regarding cell and gene therapies. The first one being, what are you most excited about in the future of cell and gene therapies?
Well, let me start with a little bit of my background because I've been working in the field of cell and gene therapies now for over 30 years.
Amazing.
So I've been part of sort of the very first human trials done in this field back in the 1990s, and then had the opportunity to lead the development of the first BCMA-targeted CAR T-cell product for multiple myeloma, first at Celgene and then at Bristol-Myers Squibb after the acquisition of Celgene. And those products, there's now 6 of them that are commercially approved for blood cancers, are really revolutionary, breakthrough therapies, unprecedented results in blood cancers. The question is, how can we extend this kind of breakthrough data to the more common solid tumors? And in my current capacity, where I'm mostly on boards and doing advisory work with a lot of the startup next-gen cell and gene therapy companies, I'm really excited about all of the science and technology that is coming to this field to try to tackle the hurdles that we see with bringing cell therapy to solid tumors. I like to call them the 4 Ts. You need good targets on the tumor. Your cells need to traffic to the tumor. They need to work in the hostile tumor microenvironment, which is designed to shut down the immune system. And then you need to optimize T cell fitness, we call it, its function, its ability to expand, kill, and persist over the long term, because these are living drugs. So I'm very excited about the next gen technologies that are trying to tackle those 4 Ts, using, for example, viruses to paint the solid tumor cell with a simpler target for one, or engineering the cells to optimize their fitness by knocking out bad genes or adding new fusion proteins that, increase their ability to kill and persist and function longer, optimize cytokine secretion. There are just a lot of strategies being employed now to hopefully begin to see the breakthrough results that we've seen with CAR T cells in blood cancers, bring that activity to solid tumors.
This enthusiasm of yours is inspiring. But do you see any obstacles or problems along the way in the short future?
I mean, there are a lot of obstacles, but I'd say that's not unique to cell and gene therapy. Anytime there's a cutting edge new field for which there are not pre-existing models, there are obstacles to overcome. So some of the obstacles with these first generation of approved products is you have to isolate the T cells from the patient, ship them to a central lab, genetically modify them, grow them, test them, freeze them, ship them back to the individual patient. There's a lot of cost and complexity associated with that model. That part of it doesn't bother me too much because a lot of those problems are like manufacturing operations and logistics. And those are the solvable problems. You can automate, you can shorten, you can figure out ways to access the reagents more cheaply. I think those manufacturing challenges will be handled. Then there's the just patient access challenges. Right now, these products can only be given in centers of excellence, and there's a lot of requirements for patients and their caregivers. So how do you improve patient access? Well, we need more centers that can administer these products, but I'm also optimistic about that because the centers are growing all the time, and the next generation of physicians are being trained to manage the side effects and the logistics of these kind of therapies. So I think those are also the solvable problems. I think the fundamental problems of human biology, cancer's ability to adapt and escape pretty much everything that we throw at it, those are the harder problems. But the fact that we are seeing deep and durable complete remissions with a single infusion of an engineered T cells gives me optimism that we're going to make more progress in this area of science and medicine, and then in some of the areas that have been used to approach cancer drug development in the past.
Fantastic. And this whole process that's either currently going on or in the future package, it sounds like costly, it sounds expensive. So and it needs the help of investors globally, I believe. So how can we make the investors just as enthusiastic as you and me over here?
Well, I don't want to age myself, but I've been at this for a long time and I've seen huge cycles and waves of investor enthusiasm in new and, re-burgeoning fields. In the early days in the 90s, you couldn't get anybody to even give you the time of day to listen about this crazy idea that we were going to engineer the immune system to treat cancer. Then with the first, profound clinical results with CAR T cells for blood cancers, everybody jumped in. The big pharma companies jumped in, investors jumped in, but then with the reality of those first in class programs and some of the manufacturing challenges, logistical challenges, and the fact that it hasn't been as quick to show that kind of breakthrough data in solid tumors as it has in blood cancers, the investor enthusiasm has waned. But I just see this as a cycle. I mean, as soon as these next gen approaches start to show the kind of compelling clinical activity in solid tumors that we're seeing in blood cancers, I think all that investor interest will come back. I'd say for the investors, I would, do you want to be on the front of that wave? And there have been very few things in my career that have been as foundational and breakthrough as cell and gene therapy. So the question is, when do you sort of get away from your hesitancy and jump back on the bandwagon? And I hope the investors won't wait too long. There is some signs of progress. There's been a lot of investment in the last 6 months around what we call in vivo cell therapy, where instead of making the cells out of the body, you just inject the vector, be it RNA encapsulated in a lipid nanoparticle or a targeted and modified lentiviral vector. If you can just inject that into the patient and let the patient be their own manufacturing facility, that has garnered a lot of investment interest, mostly right now by the big pharmas who have been acquiring the startup companies at lightning speed. But it shows that it doesn't take much to get investors and the big pharma partnerships back on track.
So fundamentally, there is motivation. It just comes in a cycle. It fades, it comes back, right?
I mean, it does. I also am on the board of an antibody drug conjugate company. 10 years ago, people had given up on ADCs. Then you had one product with some compelling activity. Everybody jumped back on the bandwagon. So I sort of see cell and gene therapy right now. I call it the epic descent, but you just got to climb back up the far wall, and there's nothing like human data to re-engage that level of interest.
I see. Thank you so much. That's it, everybody. This is Dr. Kristen Hege. Thank you so much, Dr. Hege.
Thank you.